That night, I woke up once again wrapped in the clutches of nightmares that pursued me mercilessly. I had been carrying the same pain for 7 long years, the same anguish that settled in me after that afternoon in the mall park. I clearly remember the moment when Max, my husband at the time, and I were eating ice cream in one of the local bars. Lily decided to get up and play in the park in front of us, and it was at that moment when happiness vanished forever from our lives. Lost in the conversations, we barely noticed the moment when Lily disappeared, as if the earth had swallowed her without a trace. In seconds, the park became a space of despair and confusion. We were not the only ones affected. 4 families also faced the disappearance of their daughters in the following days. From then on, the existence of those of us who are parents of those 5 girls became a true hell, full of unanswered questions. Were they alive? Dead? We were forced to learn to live without our little ones. The passing of the years brought other changes in my life. My marriage to Max came to an end, and my work as a primary school teacher was replaced by my job as a magazine editor. Despite my love of teaching and children, every innocent look in those eyes led me to the image of Lily. Making this decision was not easy. I took many therapy sessions to accept that a wound as deep as the loss of a daughter is never closed or forgotten. However, over time, I managed to reconstruct part of my existence. That morning, I arrived at the magazine's editorial office with a promising report in my hands, hoping to receive congratulations from my demanding boss. However, a call on my cell phone sent me into shock. The news echoed in my ears. My daughter had appeared! I immediately drove quickly to the police station where I met Max, my ex-husband, who had also been called. Our reunion was a hug full of joy. Although we had gone our separate ways, that day we shared an indescribable happiness. Together, we waited in a waiting room, impatient, until the detective in charge of the case took us to her office. We entered nervously, looking forward to the long-awaited meeting with our daughter, but she wasn't there yet, only the inspector. Eagerly, we asked her about Lily, and she urged us to be patient because the young woman, now 15 years old, was undergoing various psychological tests. We were given documents and pamphlets that gave guidelines on how to approach a relationship with someone suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. The contrast between our expectations and reality was becoming more evident. We had lost an 8-year-old girl, and we were preparing to embrace a 15-year-old teenager. Our little girl had spent almost half of her life in captivity, and her memory barely remembered moments from her previous life. The police, who were aware of the importance of every detail, were looking for clues to her kidnapping, because Lily was the only one of the missing women who had managed to escape. Suddenly, a police officer entered the room and spoke in a low tone with the detective. The latter's expression changed and she sighed, but she quickly asked us to accompany her. And there she was, unrecognizable, emaciated and transformed. Her eyes met mine, but silence reigned until I couldn't contain myself and hugged her with tears in my eyes. My little one didn't react as I had imagined. She was clearly scared. The psychologist who accompanied her advised me to go little by little. The situation had been overwhelming for her daughter, and we had to help her slowly remember who we were and who she was. Max, Lily, and I returned home. The place that had once been home to the 3 of us and where for the last few years it had been my lonely refuge. I offered Lily many dinner options, from eggs to salads to pasta, but she barely responded. Anxiety washed over me, questioning whether I was being a good mother. Max took me to the kitchen and reminded me that my agitation and nervousness was being transmitted to our daughter. He advised me to take the situation calmly and allow things to flow gradually. He was right. I should avoid overwhelming her. Back in the living room, we saw that Lily was no longer there. The overwhelming feeling came over me again, and my first instinct was to look for her in her room. Her room was like a time capsule, with her toys, clothes, and sheets still in the same place. It was evident that I never completely got over that loss that marked each of my days and that in part contributed to the separation with Max. Arguments at home revolved around blame and reproaches, and for a long time I didn't allow anyone to touch or move my little girl's belongings. But Lily wasn't there. She hadn't gone to her room. Finally, we found her lying on the bed in the guest room. At that moment, everything else stopped mattering. The past arguments, the time wasted, and the tears shed were left in the background. My daughter was home again, and that was the only thing that really mattered. Max suggested staying with us that night, but I assured him that everything was fine and that he could return home. We would see each other the next day. I didn't want him to get confused. Our daughter had returned, but our lives had taken different paths as a couple. The next day, while I was making breakfast, Lily asked me about her father, and I was silent, not knowing how to respond. In the process of adaptation and with so much suffering on her back, it was not the time to reveal to her that her father and I were divorced. I told her that he would be right over. He was getting something for breakfast. Desperate, I called Max and told him what had happened, begging him to come home and maintain some semblance of normality. Soon, he arrived with 3 boxes of homemade cookies. He left the boxes open on the table while I prepared hot chocolates. And suddenly, I watched as Max grabbed Lily's hand tightly, who, heartbroken, got up and walked to the bathroom in tears. Nothing made sense until Max assured me that Lily had almost put nut cookies in her mouth, forgetting about her allergy and putting her health at risk. My God, she didn't remember her allergy that could take her directly to the hospital. Max apologized to her on the other side of the door, assuring her that he had grabbed her that way because he had been scared. Lily, however, was left heartbroken, developing distrust towards her own father from that day on. Lily hadn't told anyone any clues about her whereabouts in those last few years. The police desperately needed their help to find the other missing girls. The day she was found, Lily only mentioned that she had escaped through a forest, but she wasn't able to share any more details. The whole situation had been so traumatic that she herself preferred not to remember anything about it. However, the police weren't going to give up on their investigation, so that same day, the detective in charge of the case showed up at the house to question my daughter again. The detective asked her questions one after another, insisting that she remember some details. Lily refused, expressing her displeasure at feeling used for information rather than joy at her return. I couldn't help but defend her. She had barely been home a day and they were already putting pressure on her. They had to take things slowly, especially considering how hard it was for her to remember all that. Little by little, through the detective's questions, Lily began to collaborate a little more. She mentioned that there were several girls, but that she hadn't had contact with any of them. I didn't know where they were or what their names were. She didn't remember anything about a kidnapper. She only remembered being on a farm and that she had escaped down a road. The detective frowned. Something didn't add up. Then she asked Lily if she was sure she had escaped down a road. She nodded, and the detective reminded her that in her first statement, she had mentioned that she had escaped from the farm through a forest. My daughter felt offended and expressed her discomfort, asking to be left alone. She looked at me and asked me to fire the police. Of course, I agreed and asked the agents to leave and return another day. They were making her very nervous. When I returned, after escorting the agents to the door, I saw Max trying to talk to Lily. He told her that she should make an effort to remember, because other girls were still held captive and away from their families. Lily looked at him with hatred and left the room angry with him. At that moment, I asked Max not to overwhelm her. I went to my room and found Lily curled up on my bed, like she used to before, but this time she was scared. I stood next to her and she hugged me. She expressed her hope that people would stop harassing her. She also mentioned that she knew that Max and I were no longer together, and that she just wanted to live her old life to regain that feeling of having a family. She didn't want questions, she didn't want police. She simply wanted to enjoy her freedom and celebrate her life. I couldn't hold back my tears and I hugged her. My daughter, with the body of a teenager, was still my 8-year-old little girl. All she needed was to have her parents by her side, and that was what we had to give her. The next day, we promised to go shopping. The three of us had a wonderful day shopping for clothes and gifts. When we returned home, we ran into Lily's best friend from school, Susan. Seeing her, Susan hugged her, but my daughter seemed confused. She didn't recognize her. Susan explained that all her classmates were looking forward to seeing her again. Lily smiled, and then I offered her friend to have dinner with us. Lily had to gradually interact with other young people, and it was a good opportunity for her to have a group of friends. The two went to the room, and Max and I prepared dinner. The truth is that I felt strange but immensely happy. Finally, I had the opportunity to make up for the lost years with my daughter, and I was once again experiencing Max's kindness and affection towards me. A family again, like before. It seemed that time had stopped and I was living in the past again. Suddenly, a slamming door brought me out of my cloud. Susan was leaving home crying. Lily came down smiling and saying that everything was fine. But Max came out worried to see what had happened to the young woman and why she had left that way. When Max returned, Lily and I had already started dinner. He took some vegetables and looked at our daughter with a strange expression, a look that made me uncomfortable. He asked her again what had happened to Susan, and she told him that she hadn't done anything to her. She had simply gotten bored and left. However, Max continued with the questions until Lily, angry, got up and retired to her room crying. I didn't understand what was happening in our house. We had only been together a few days, and what should have been immense happiness was turning into a sea of constant tears. I asked Max what was happening, what Susan had told him to make him so insistent on our daughter. But his words stuck in me like stakes. What if that is not the real Lily there? I couldn't believe he would think something like that. She was our daughter. How could he doubt something so fundamental? The worst thing was that something inside me was unleashed after that question. Although I tried to convince myself, doubts began to take over me. That's when Max grabbed my arm and whispered in my ear, "If she's not the real Lily, all isn't lost. Because she knows who she is. She knows her, and she knows where she is. We have to do a blood test." I couldn't allow it. How could we subject her to that? I begged Max for one day, just one day my way. And if it didn't work, we would do the blood test. I knew I could find the truth. The next morning, I told Lily that we were going to enjoy a girls' day out, eating ice cream and having fun. We sat at a bar and ordered an ice cream each. While we were having it, I told her stories about when she was younger, about how we used to play with our dog Roger. Lily was smiling and seemed to remember him a lot. Then I told her the sad news that Roger had passed away. She became very sad, telling me how much love she had for her pet. Afterwards, I asked her if she remembered the park in front of us. Her mouth opened with surprise and joy as she realized that it was her favorite park when she was little. I told her that she played a lot there with her cousin Sarah, and she said that she had images of when they played together on the swings. Then I asked her if we could go to the car because it was quite cold and it would soon be dark. In the car, I changed my expression and stared at her. I told her that we had never had a dog because she was allergic to its fur. Sarah didn't have any cousin either. And that wasn't her favorite park because that park was the same one where she had been kidnapped 7 years ago. The young woman tried to get out of the car, but I had already blocked the doors. Tears began to fall down my cheeks. Why? Who are you really? Where's my daughter? I asked her. I just wanted to know where my little girl was. I expressed all the pain a mother or father can feel when their child is taken away from them and how bad I had been without Lily. I was sure that she knew her, that she had been with her, because she knew many things that only my own daughter could have told her. I also told her about the parents of the other missing girls and how great our pain was. Her parents must have been eager to find her too, and I would help her get back to her family. She hung her head and told me that she only had one father, but that he wouldn't be happy to see her. She claimed that Lily was the best of all, her friend. When she started talking about my daughter in the past tense, I started to shake. What do you mean was? Where is she? I needed to know if she was alive. The young woman revealed to me her real name, Madison. I told her that her father would be very happy to see her. Surely, on the day of their disappearance, they had argued, but all parents love their children above all else. Madison remembered her address, so I started the car and we headed there. It was on the outskirts and we had no coverage. I couldn't tell Max about anything. I decided to stay and find out why Madison didn't want to go back to her father. And then I would immediately return to the police to give the new details. As I got out of the car, I saw that we were in front of a farm. It couldn't be. I asked Madison where we were and she started crying. Was Lily there? Was that the place where they had her kidnapped? I couldn't call the police, but I couldn't leave there either. Madison told me that she was the man's favorite, the only one who called him dad, and that she had always taken good care of Lily. She was very good to her. Everything was starting to add up. Madison's father was the kidnapper, and she was just trying to escape by pretending to be my daughter. Madison held me sneaking unnoticed, and we arrived at a building that looked like a block. When I entered, I saw mattresses lying on the floor, and 4 faces of scared teenagers peeked out from between the curtains. They were the kidnapped girls, but my daughter wasn't there. I asked them about Lily, but no one answered me. They were afraid of me. They thought I would do something bad to them. I left there and found another similar structure. I sneaked in, and among the dirt and animal droppings, I discovered another girl who looked like she had been punished. With a small voice, I said her name, and suddenly my heart skipped a beat when I heard her voice. Right then, I knew she was her, my little Lily. I took her in my arms and went back to the block to take the other girls with me, but they didn't want me to go near them. They were afraid of me. With tears in my eyes, I promised them that I would come back for them. I would go to the police and get them out of there. But just as I was going to leave, a man was waiting for me at the door with a knife. He was the girl's kidnapper. I was about to take my little girl out, and I had fallen into that criminal's trap. His knife was almost digging into my neck when Madison suddenly hit him in the head from behind with a shovel. The man fell to the ground, and I took the opportunity to get out of there with my daughter in my arms. Madison stayed inside, crying and looking at me. I told her to come with me, but she shook her head. Her father was down, and she had nowhere to go. She had no family. Then I reached out my hands and held hers, telling her that she would indeed have a family. Suddenly, a gunshot made me deaf. I heard nothing, just a constant ringing in my ears. And I saw Madison fall to the ground as her body turned red. The man had shot her, and I could only run as fast as my legs could and disappear from there. As soon as I could, I called the police, and they managed to arrive in time to arrest the criminal. 3 of the 4 girls returned to their families, but another of them died during the struggle while the kidnapper negotiated with the police using the girl as a hostage. What is my life like now? I have recovered 1 daughter, but I have lost another. The loss of Madison is something I will never be able to get over. I am back with Max, and although I can't explain how happy it makes me to have my Lily back, a great void remains in my chest forever. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next episode.